now if you go online and do a little bit of research about holograms, you'll see that a lot of companies now will have showroom displays of very expensive equipment that is not real. You know, it'll be on display just for the public to view, but it's a hologram. And one example is like a $150,000 high-speed racing motorcycle will be displayed on a showroom floor. You know, the bike will be about 8 feet long and have all its gadgets and fancy tires and everything and all its fancy colors, but it's a hologram. It looks as solid as could possibly be, but it's just a hologram. You can walk over to it and put your hand right through it. It's just not real. Now, what brought me up to even discussing holograms was I wrote down and what brought my attention to all this was I started reading David Icke's one of his latest books that was copyrighted in 2013, and it's called The Perception Deception, and it's by David Icke, and the book is over 800 pages long, maybe 900 pages long, and I'm only read the first 100 pages of it, and he started talking about these holograms, so I thought, well, gee, I wanted to share that with everybody. Now, in case you don't know what a hologram is or how they do a hologram, a basic hologram is created by using a laser light and a camera and a couple mirrors. And what you do is you have a typical camera and, you know, a photographic plate, and you take a laser light of whatever kind of laser light that you have, whether it be a white laser light or red or any other color, whatever technology you're using. And what you do is you take the light out of the projector. Laser shoots a straight line, and it's a high-intensity light, and you shine it through a mirror. And the mirror that you shine it through is designed so that it's not 100% reflective. It's only 50% reflective. And as you shine the laser light through a mirror, this mirror, half of the light goes through and half of it doesn't. And you take the part that is reflected by the mirror, you take half of it and take what's called the pure basic signal, and you shine that directly into the camera that's photographing this. And the other half of the laser beam, you use mirrors to bounce around and reflect. You have the light shine onto the object that you're trying to take a photograph of. And so what happens is when you take the actual photo shot, you have what's called an interference pattern. You have the direct laser light going into the camera, plus you have the light reflected off the object that you're trying to make a hologram out of, and both signals enter into the camera, and you snap the picture, and you develop yourself what's called a holographic plate, and that's the basic information. Now, in order to see a hologram or display a hologram, you have to take the developed plate and shine a laser light through that holographic plate. And when you shine a laser light through that holographic plate, it creates a display of the original object in 3 dimensions. Now, that is the basic hologram. Well, today, the technology is so advanced that not only can you take a single picture of an object, you can actually have moving pictures. Now, one of the most recent public examples of a fantastic holographic image took place during the destruction of the World Trade Center in New York City. 2 aircraft were flown into the buildings, and they said it was the government, of course, said it was airliners full of passengers that were fighting the hijackers right up to the point of impact where these 2 airliners crashed into the World Trade Centers. But the truth of the matter is those were not aircraft. What was seen crashing into the World Trade Center was really a hologram of an aircraft, and that's how advanced the technology is. And how do we know it was a hologram instead of a real airplane? Because before it was removed from the media, the guys who were running the holographic projector didn't control the projection properly, and one of the aircraft flew into the building, and something like 20 feet of the right wing came out the far side of the building undamaged. Well, that's impossible for a real airplane to go through and have a wing, 20 feet of the outboard wing go through all that concrete and brick and steel beams and come out untouched on the far side of the building. Just absolutely impossible. So that is how we know that those were holographic projections. Of course, as soon as people started pointing that out, the government and all the media did everything they could to go back on all the websites and edit out that portion of the video that showed that part. They just wanted to show the impact and then stop the projection at that point in time. All right, so the reason I've brought all this up about the holograms is I want to point out, as David Icke has pointed out, everything that we see in creation, the life that we are, the physical life in this cause-effect creation is a hologram. Every person on this planet, every being, everything that we see, our bodies are nothing but holograms, just kind of like in the movie The Matrix. We're holograms. And we experience life, what we experience by life has a lot to do with how we decode the holographic information that is presented to us. And I'd like to give a couple examples. David Icke had a couple, and I'd like to show that a holographic universe, there's even a book written called The Holographic Universe, talks about how everything ever made is a hologram. And there's some really interesting defining characteristics of a hologram, which maybe some of you are aware of, and that is that every part of a hologram contains a part of the whole. I don't know, anybody ever heard that? Anybody listening ever heard that? So if you have, would you speak up and let me know that you've heard that expression before?
No,
nobody?
I haven't.
Okay, well, it goes to prove the point that there is no time and there is no space. There is no such thing as time and space. It's all illusion. And these holograms provide the source of the illusion, and it's how we experience time and space is how we take that holographic information and decode it. We decode it into time and space. Now, let me give you an example of how time and space are an illusion. You know, my grandfather used to have an 8mm camera. I don't know if you guys have ever dealt with an 8mm camera. He used to had a little camera. He'd go around, he'd take pictures of the northern woods and, you know, us fishing off the dock and all that kind of stuff. And he'd get the film developed, and the film was maybe, you know, 3/8 of an inch wide, you know, just over a quarter to 3/8 of an inch wide, and it had little holes along the side, and it had a whole bunch of frames. You ever see an 8mm film before? Well, you can take this film, this movie film, and you can hold it up, and you can look at all the individual images on that film, and you can see that everything is there. There's no space and time. All the information contained in reality is on that film. It's all there. The past and the future, it's all there. You're holding it in your hand. Well, where does time and space come from? Well, when you take that film and run it through a projector, it goes click, 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 click. It runs one frame at a time for a very short period of time. It'll run a frame. It'll close the camera. The light will be stopped. It'll advance to the next frame. It'll show the next frame. It'll stop, move to the next frame, and it'll go through the series of frames, and it gives the illusion that there's motion taking place. But there is no motion. It's all an illusion. So anytime you have motion, there you have time. Time is an illusion. And if you take that a step forward, let's say you take a DVD and put a movie in your DVD player and turn on your TV and start watching a movie. And let's just take The Love Boat for an example. Let's say you're watching The Love Boat, which is an old TV show, and it's an ocean liner on the Atlantic Ocean, and you're watching this ship on your flat screen TV, and is there an ocean liner in your living room? Is there really a now get real with me here. Bear with me for a second. Is there an ocean liner inside your living room? Probably not. How about the Pacific or the Atlantic Ocean? Is the Atlantic Ocean inside your living room? Probably not. How about the buildings of downtown Miami or Fort Lauderdale where they sailed their love boat from? Any guesses? You have any tall skyscrapers in your living room? Probably not. Well, we watch TV, and we see all these things, and we think that there's space and time, but it's just an illusion. Well, I went over a little bit today. We still have like half an hour, but I'll start wrapping it up a little bit if I can. You guys mind if I go over a little bit, time-wise?
Fine.
Okay, well, anyway, so it says, David Icke words it really well. He says, as with space, so with time. There is no such thing as time except the encoded information, the way you encode it. There is only the eternal now. And David Icke goes on and said, by that, I do not mean the now as another word for the present. That's not what now means. Now, present in the sense of the present, past, present, future. David Icke says, I mean the now in which the past, present, and future are all the same experience. All these experiences that we go through are all happening now. It's our method of decoding it that makes it seem as if there's a flow of time or there's space. Now, we can look at a movie and say, okay, sure, I understand that with a movie. I know that when I turn off my flat screen TV, there's just a blank screen. I know there's a bunch of pixels in there that show the different colors, and they can shine electrons on it, and they can make it look like a three-dimensional picture. I know all that. But in the world that we live in, is it functions exactly the same way. There is absolutely no difference between what we see on TV and a movie than what we experience in our daily living life. We are interpreting a holographic universe, and what we see is the way we decode it, using primarily our five senses to decode it. And what's interesting about that is seeing is decoding. Whenever and our mind, 80% of what we see is what our mind really picks up on, our brain really picks up on, 80%. Now let me share another thing that's really, really interesting here. The realization that the body is a hologram, like everything else in this reality, opens the door to explanations about so many mysteries that baffle mainstream science, including phenomena that are dismissed and refuted by the scientific establishments. One of the amazing characteristics of holograms is that every part of a hologram is a smaller version of the whole. Put another way, if you cut a holographic waveform print into 4 pieces and point the laser at each one, you will not see 4 quarter segments of the holographic image. You will see 4 quarter-sized versions of the entire hologram. Clarity may be lost as the hologram is reduced in this way, but it still represents the information of the entire hologram. Each part of a hologram is a smaller version of the whole. So like if you have a regular photograph, let's say you take a 35 millimeter photograph, black and white or colored photograph of something, and cut it up into 4 pieces, and let's say you take a picture of a person standing there, the bottom left piece of the picture is going to show the person's, if they're facing you, they're going to show their right foot and right leg. The right piece is going to show their left leg, and the top it might show their arms and head or shoulders or whatever. It actually breaks the picture up into pieces. But in a hologram, every piece of information of the entire hologram is represented in every tiny piece of a hologram. So whenever you take a hologram and cut it into finer pieces, each small piece contains all the information of the original hologram. Now what's interesting about this for people that might be into holistic healing and that sort of thing, it's this principle explains why reflexology, acupuncture, and other forms of alternative healing can find areas in different parts of the body, the hand, ear, foot, whatever, that affects different organs and processes of the whole body. It has to be like this because the body is a hologram. Now what that means is like for example, you ever wonder why an acupuncture person will stick needles in somebody's leg to heal their liver? What's their leg got to do with their liver? Why aren't they sticking the needles, right in their side where their liver is and using 4-inch needles to reach right in the liver? Well, in acupuncture, the ancient Chinese knew all these principles of holographic information, but a lot of these healers that do acupuncture do not understand the principle that when you stick a needle into somebody's leg, you're actually contacting the part of the internal organ in that part of their leg that contains the information about the internal organs, and that's how acupuncture is able to function. And there's kind of a semi-proof that we are holographic individuals.